Hi guys, Bolt here once again with more Broken Arrow. Today we're diving into the Russian arsenal, but before I do that, if you have been playing the demo and you found like major glitches, bugs, crashes and all that kind of stuff, click here on message from the team and then at the bottom do the survey. Please do. We need these findings to be reported, otherwise they will go unnoticed and not fixed. Just simply putting it in my comment section is very appreciated, and I do relay these findings to the developers. But, you know, I can only do so much. Just go ahead there, type it into the survey, and also go on their Discord to discuss it. Now, with that said, we're going to dive into the Russian arsenal and kind of discuss what we're seeing here. Explain some of the key features that Broken Arrow brings to the table, such as laser designation, the high customizability, loadout persistence, supplying nukes and all that kind of stuff and everything in between. So, let's dive into it. But yeah, everything here is also subject to change, from everything down to literally the name of, well, not the name of vehicles, but the statistics of the vehicles down to like the color of the leaves. Everything can be adjusted. And also these are all placeholders. But yeah, one of the key features of this game is the amazing customizability of vehicles. Now, instead of having 4 different variants of the BRDM-2M, so with each variant carrying a different type of weapon or different type of weapon package, and also other variants also having a different armor chassis, you just have one BRDM2 and you can modify to what you want, and that really cleans up the deck building or the arsenal building or the army builder greatly. Like, imagine if there were 4 times 2, imagine if there were 16 different variants of the BRDM2M. That would already have clogged up more than what we're seeing here, and yeah, this just makes it much nicer. But yeah, like, we can upgrade the weapon from a KPVT in this case to a cord with an AGS, which is a grenade launcher, to an autocannon with a grenade launcher, or add the Bekannt module, which has like a PKT and a KPVT. Now, all the weapon statistics and armor values will also be shown on the right side. For example, here we have armor values, and this is the amount of protection that the current armor will give to kinetic rounds and to heat rounds, high explosive anti-tank rounds. This is for the front of the vehicle, this is for the side, that's for the top, and we also have the rear values here. Now, other things that we see is that this unit has smoke dispensers, so it can actually pop smoke when it's being engaged by a superior force or when you just want to break the line of sight for anything. Now, on top of that, you have the unit's health over here, so 15 HP points, the speed, the optics, this is the stealth, and that is the weight. Now, do keep in mind that your speed might get altered when you go for like a better armor package, which is the case with some of the lighter vehicles like the Humvees. If you go for heavier armor, your speed is decreased by a little bit. But also, the armor package affects your health in this case. And also, going for the base armor will make this unit still amphibious. Going for the armor chassis does not keep it amphibious. This could be just, a little bit of a bug right now, or maybe it's just too heavy to really still float on water. Like, all those kind of things are, something you need to consider, basically. Now, the BRDM-3, and this is where, like, a cool part of the game already kind of pops up. This is a recon unit, obviously, but you can upgrade it in such a cool way. For example, right now we have the BTR-82A turret. You can go for an AT turret, which basically decreases the aim time. So this is a really subtle difference, but it might just make it a little bit better. And you can also go for the PRP-5 turret, which gives it laser designation capabilities with that, giant laser designator at the top. And that you can also see with this icon here. And what does laser designation do? Well, if you designate a target, let's say that airplane in the back or a vehicle like this Bradley here, it can guide laser guided bombs towards this target, or even artillery rounds if Russia will receive those. Artillery rounds that can be guided. And this is true even if the vehicle is moving. You just need to have a line of sight with your laser designation vehicle or infantry, which is really, really cool. It kind of makes artillery and recon and getting behind enemy lines a much more exciting thing. Instead of just spotting stuff and you just RDing manually, you can actually do more with it. You can laser designate targets, even on the front line, and you can guide your artillery shells or your laser guided bombs towards the target. It's just a cool thing to do. Now, if we go for an upgraded armor chassis here, you can see the values change. So kinetic protection and heat protection are changed a little bit. Kinetic increases slightly, but the protection against high explosive anti-tank increases greatly because of this cage armor. What that basically does, and correct me if I'm wrong, is high explosive anti-tank hits the cage armor and explodes after hitting it, but you know, it's still outside of the main vehicle, so it does much less damage, or it will have to, you know, it will still have to do quite a bit more damage to actually affect the unit's HP. Whereas kinetic is just going to blast through it, but it might, you know, it's going to lose a little bit of velocity, but still be mainly intact and mainly in shape to still do some damage here. But it does get increased protection against kinetic. But yeah, the main thing with cage armor is that it really helps against explosives, because the cage basically detonates the projectile. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. But yeah, that is a really cool thing that they definitely added to this game. And yeah, in terms of ammunition, you can actually customize all the ammo for your units as well in the end, with like tanks and stuff. Now we have a bunch of drones. We have the forepost here. And this guy can be either empty for recon, or it can be equipped with Cornet AT-gems. Which to me sounds like a ton of fun. I mean, it is going to make it quite more expensive, but you know, it might just be fun to have some drone AT-gems going around. We also have the Corsair recon. You can like modify these with AT-gems and with like advanced optics even. And if you pay attention there, the optics do get increased, so 1200 optics instead of 900. And we also have the Orion drone, and this is the last drone that we have for now with the Russians. And with these like bigger drones or aircraft, there's multiple pylons where weapons can be added. So for example, we can add a Cornet or Vickers AT-gem or even bombs over there. And then we have the outer pylons where we can add the Vickers AT-gems. And then even we can upgrade the optics. So if you want slightly better optics, go from 750 to 950, you can do so. It's pretty cool. Now we have another vehicle that can laser designate. It has smoke, it's amphibious, pretty decent values as well. And sometimes you can only go for like a slightly upgraded armor. But yeah, like the list goes on. With this kind of stuff, you can really customize whatever you want. Another thing that people might not realize yet with infantry is that each soldier is like a separate entity, basically. And what do I mean with this? Well, in the games like Wargame or other RTS games, all the weapons that this squad has will be available if there's still even only one soldier left. So this last soldier, like in Wargame, will be a Rambo. He will have the RPG, the GP34, the SVD, and the AK-74. In this game, if let's say the two squad members with the anti-tank weapons, these guys in the back, are incapacitated, the entire squad loses anti-tank capabilities. Now, at some point, they might change it so that the rest of the crew kind of takes over some of those weapons, but maybe like a longer reload time or a longer aim time, because these guys are just simply much more experienced with it. But I think that's really cool as well. It kind of emphasizes that you need to really take care of your soldiers and get them back on health, and you know, just take care of your dudes. You can just rush them in there and have the last guy snipe a couple of tanks. Now we also have some nice little cheap units, the Sarmat 2 here, which is going to be a big part of the game. Spetsnaz GRU making an entrance. I do dig these unit cards, they look pretty cool here. And we have the Resvetka, the VDV Resvetka. And here is one infantry unit that can laser designate. These guys can laser designate, and I think pretty much anything with like, I don't know, I mean this is a radio guy, I suppose. But pretty much like any special forces or maybe airborne or like good recon units will be able to laser designate. I know that the American sniper teams will get that opportunity, but in this case the VDV Resvetka has this option. Now if you go into infantry, we kind of already went through a couple of these guys previously, but we got quite a couple options here, and I do like that. Now Desannikis will be in the game. I'm seeing a lot of parachutes, so probably will be airdroppable, if that's even a word. We got Morskaya Pehotas here, slightly smaller squads, beautiful unit card again. Motostrelakis with a placeholder, so I wouldn't really worry about that too much. But even with infantry, these values are really interesting. You have armor values for infantry. You have the health, the squad size, the speed, optics, stealth, and weight. And here, it means you can sprint with these units, and they also carry smoke nades with them that they can use to retreat with. Right now, you can't really like throw smoke far away to create like a, you know, just to break the line of sight to rush forward. I think it is also intended to be like this. Smoke is really mainly used in this game to kind of help you retreat. Like if you're being heavily suppressed, you can pop smoke and kind of crawl out of there. I'm not quite sure if they're going to change that in the future, but yeah, everything is still subject to change. But yeah, the armor values are interesting. I wonder, like, if you're up against like infantry with longer range weapons like snipers or machine guns, that you take more damage compared to, you know, an equal amount of bullets coming out of an AK or something like that. I guess it kind of makes sense, but I wonder how the armor values will play out. Perhaps in the end you'll be able to give them better armor but make them slower or something like that. That could be a fun thing. Now there will be RPO units. I have actually not gotten the chance to play with these yet, but I'm really looking forward to the special effects for these guys because they're really doing a good job with special effects so far. Iglas. Manpads actually hit in this game and it makes me really happy. Super cool. Like Iglas, Manpads AA is very effective. Not in a bad way, like it really makes you think about using airplanes. It's quite a risky move, they are expensive. But again, you know, everything is subject to change. They'll probably maybe tune these down a little bit to make helicopter gameplay a little bit more feasible. There's also like reservists that are going to enter the fray. We have the VDV Dush. I don't know what the DSH stands for. I couldn't tell you. Just let me know down in the comment section, I guess. But there's like a 5-man team here with some weapons, and we have Verba teams as well on top of Igla teams. So it's pretty like nice limited selection of infantry, but I think that is actually a good thing. It kind of makes it a bit more focused. You can really flesh out those units and not worry about balancing 50 types of infantry units. It just takes a lot of effort to balance, you know, 30-40 different types of infantry. It's kind of a hard thing to do. Now in terms of vehicles, we have a really like a long list of really interesting vehicles, and we'll begin with the BMD selection here. BMD2, it can be airdropped. Imagine that. So you can have your big ol' IL-76 airdrop these guys with a bunch of infantry. I can just, yeah, that's gonna be so cool, just to airdrop like a quick reaction force way in the back, just to destabilize the enemy's lines, or you know, break their logistics lines or something like that. Super cool. You can also carry 5 dudes, so I wonder if you can actually, you know, parachute these in with guys already in it, which would be really funny to do as well. But yeah, like these can also be upgraded with Conqueror's ATGMs or even the BMD2M package. Now these names are probably also placeholders, so don't worry about it too much. But this gives it a more upgraded gun and also cornets, making it quite expensive actually. That's not a cheap unit. Now the BMD4 is also in the game, can be upgraded with slightly better armor. And always do keep in mind what that kind of upgrade does. So from kinetic, for both kinetic and heat, it is now an equal upgrade, pretty much to the front and top. But here, yeah, here's something that isn't correct yet. We're also getting plates on the side, but that isn't being being coded correctly right now. We're not actually getting an increase to the side armor, we're actually getting it to the top, which I think might be... Actually, no, there's some armor plates going to the top of the vehicle, but the side is skipped in this case. And the rear as well. So I will definitely make a note of this and like give that to the team. And that is how we can improve this game. By looking through it, making a good well-formulated comment on things, and you know, giving maybe some examples and stuff. But in this case, like, it is correct. Right now, we're getting protection in the front, side, and rear, and nothing on the top because nothing is really added to the top. You know, yeah. So that won't make sense, and this is all looking good. But yeah, this is looking cool actually. The BMO with the cage, that's gonna be pretty nice. It has 2 smoke rounds or 2 smoke salvos. Also amphibious. I'm really looking forward to the amphibious part. We have a bunch of these kind of vehicles, like Hornets, ATGM vehicles. It seems like the units that are now available in the Russian arsenal are really built for like long-range engagements, whereas the American seems a bit more closer range, I would say mid-range. But yeah, it's like cool to see a dynamism like that in the game. Now Cornet Ts can be upgraded to the Chrysanthema, which is a really insane ATGM, and it can even target helicopters, which I found pretty interesting. So we'll see that in a good way. And if you look at these values, so penetration 1100 millimeters of penetration, and it deals 15 damage. If you go to the American Abrams, This guy will have a value or protection value of 1290 on the front against heat, and it has 18 health. So the first shot might not necessarily destroy the tank, but it's going to do quite a bit of damage to, you know, that armor. It's probably going to maybe have an easier time with the second shot to do quite a bit of damage, but with the third shot it's probably going to take out the tank because it has 18 HP and the Chrysanthema does 15 damage. So I think, yeah, the first shot will not deal 15 damage, obviously, because the armor takes care of most of the damage. It absorbs most of it. The second shot will deal more damage, and the third shot at the same area will probably just deal full damage and destroy the tank, which I think is a cool way to do it. Like in other games like Wargame, for example, really good game, but also Warno, the armor value basically just protects against every shot the same way. I think with Warno it's slightly different, because they also have like countermeasures and like reactive armor incalculated. But in games like Warno, if you have 20 front armor, let's say, or 2000 millimeter protection or whatever, and something hits you with 1500 millimeters of penetration, it'll take care of most of the damage. The armor will take care of most of the damage, and the projectile will only do a limited amount of damage. But the second time it hits, it'll do the same amount of damage again, third time again. But in this game, I believe how they want to do it is that the armor basically is compromised after the first shot, so the second shot will deal much more damage, and the third shot is basically just going to pierce through it like butter. I think that's what they aim to do with this. Now the BMP-3, beautiful vehicle, and you can get the Yopoka module, basically turning it into a Terminator, which is just insane. Yeah, this thing looks mean. Look at that. It has Cornets and Bullets, both ATGMs, one being 900 millimeters of heat penetration, the other one 1200, and dealing much more damage. But you know, you have 8 of these versus 4 of these. You have 3 PKTs, and you have the autocannon. This thing looks mean, and it's amphibious too. Can you upgrade the armor? Yes, you can with Era. That gives you a massive boost to front, side, protection against heat. Amazing. Basically, when it hits, it just explodes, and basically takes the projectile with it. I believe. I could be wrong. Please don't destroy me in the comment section. Yeah. Now we also have some lighter vehicles like the BMP-97 Cord, just some trucks basically. You can add even autocannon or a Spitzer module on it, making this thing look like it just came out of, you know, a Terminator movie. Just turning like really light vehicles like this into something that can really support your infantry. I think that is one of the cooler things about this game. Like, light transports can be used as really good fire support, but they are kind of a glass cannon if you're up against armor or, you know, get hit by an ATGM. Now, speaking of ATGM, the classic Conquerors vehicle is still in the game. You can upgrade it with Cornets, and we also have things like a BTO, which looks really funny, that we kind of went through already. BTR-80s, obviously, like the main transport of your units, can be upgraded with the BTR-82AT, which really makes this thing look quite mean, and you can upgrade it with cage armor, or keep it the same, depending on what you want to do. But yeah, the cage armor in this case also decreases your speed, so you go from 100 down to 80, and you lose amphibious capabilities. Now again, this could all be changed later, because I don't know why the cage would completely take away your amphibious capabilities. It does create more drag, but maybe it's just too heavy. That could be a thing. Now what else do we got? We got BTRDs, basically a BMD but without any weapons on it. But you can add NSVs and AGSs or BTR-82AT. I might not be modeled in. This might also be a bug because this is from a previous vehicle and you only have these two things. Yeah, sometimes it does that. What is this vehicle? BTR-MDM. Oh, that is looking sick. That looks awesome. What is ZU-23? ZU-23M. Which is... I don't really know the difference between these. Let's see here. Alright, that might take... Okay. That might take a little bit more... a little bit too much time to really go through. But you also have Iglas. So even like a useless looking vehicle like this, which is pretty good for carrying infantry, it's amphibious, you can also airdrop it, you can pimp it all out with a ZU and Iglas. And again, that is, to me, like the main cool thing about this game. And you can turn into a Screzza, yeah. So BTR RD robot, you got Conkers on it. BTR ZD, again, Zeus and Iglas. We have a Gas Tiger, one of the vehicles that I think looks pretty cool. Kind of like a JLTV, but slightly less cool, in my opinion. You can even add an autocannon to this, and add window blinds. What else do we got here? Oh wait, we're in the Humvee tab. I was gonna say, like, that's not Russian. Wait, why is the Humvee in Russia? Do we have spies? American? Alright, we got American traitors working for... Okay, we got Abrams here as well. This is... I think my menu is a little bugged. There we go. I was gonna say, yeah, we got some traitors going on here. Where were we? We got the Naparnik as well. I wouldn't mind having a vehicle like this for my daily driver. That looks pretty sick, especially with the autocannon. And I believe this is already my favorite vehicle in the game, I gotta say. Now we come to the fun stuff. The Sprut. Look at this thing. That looks like a mean gun right there. What kind of penetration are we talking about? Between 400 and 700 millimeters of kinetic, millimeter of penetration with the kinetic rounds. Invar ATGM. Okay, that's cool. Almost 3 kilometers range. Jeez. And we got HE, which actually does quite a bit of damage. 12 damage, 13 meters of blast radius. My god. That is cool. The Sprut looks cool, man. I kind of want to play War Thunder now. We got the Armada, the T-14 Armada. No like modifications to it yet, but they might add it. Maybe you can get like the big gun on it. I think they have a 155 millimeter gun version on this as well, which could be a ton of fun. Obviously, it has smoke dispensers. Sometimes it doesn't want to show... There we go. Sometimes it doesn't want to show like the values, but insane protection against heat on the front, side, top, and rear looks also really nice. You have AP shots doing a ton of penetration. You got the L.COL ATGMs. You got a cord on it and a PKT. Yeah, this is the 125 millimeter. But I believe IRL there's also a 155 millimeter version. But yeah, let me know down in the comments. T72B, and this is where really the customizability comes in here. You can go for base T72B weapon package. You can go for the BA, giving you the Invar M. So what is the main difference here? 2700, 9 damage, 397.50. Yeah, more range, same damage. More range, basically. Better range. But you can also go for the B1 without an AT gems, and you can get more regular ammunition. And yeah, speaking of ammunition, you can like change all of the different types of ammo you want for your vehicles when the game is fully released. So if you only want HE, you can do that. If you only want AP, you can do that as well. It's going to be sick. Now the B3, or actually we also have the contact armor upgrade here, beefing our kinetic and everything. And we also have engine upgrades, giving us a little bit more speed, which I think is also a cool thing to add. Now the B3 can basically be upgraded the same way. B3M giving you much more armor values. OBR 16, man, that is an insane amount of side protection against heat. That is pretty cool. Arena APS. Now Arena, correct me if I'm wrong, guys, I think is the Russian equivalent of Iron Fist, but I'm probably wrong about that. I'm not the best when it comes to these like statistics, but you get the Arena APS, and you even have Arena APS with, you know, the added side armor values here. I wish it kind of gave us like more information about Arena when you get it, like maybe an icon that says, oh, there we go, yeah, APS 10 times. Okay, so you get 10 times APS with everything. Yeah, that's probably not coded right, but so yeah, I'll also write this one down and make sure that it's correct. There you go. Now with the T80BV, you can also upgrade it through, you know, all of the variants. You can go for the OBR 2017, gives you 80 gems. The 2018 basically changes your rear armor, adding much more to the rear. And you can go for the 2018, which gives you much more side armor. But other than that, like most of the vehicle basically stays the same. Going from the BV to the BVM versions does change your main gun though. And we got the Typhoon K, but no one cares about this thing, right? You can even put an autocannon on that. That is the coolest thing. Like anything that might seem useless, you can upgrade it to be kind of useful. Now we have the Musta, and I wonder if there is like, yep, there we go. So we have guided rounds for the Musta as well. So with the Americans, we have the which one is it? The Paladin? Do we even have a Paladin? Yeah, the Paladin. So the Paladin's Excalibur can be laser guided towards its targets, and now we have the Musta as like the Russian equivalent of it. So yeah, laser designated target. The shell, even if you like fire position around it, not like, you know, completely the other way, but near its vicinity, let's say, like maybe 100 meters around it, your laser designated target will, you know, your shell will be guided towards it, even if you're off with your aim, even if the target is moving, and I love that. That is such a cool thing. Now this guy can also be upgraded with some... What is that? What is that doing? M2. Okay, reduces your reload time. That is quite amazing. And your Krasnopol M goes to a Krasnopol D. And I kind of wonder what the difference is here. Let's see here. 4500, 4500, 1522. 1522. So yeah, more range. There you go. 5k range. That's pretty good. Now there's also mortars. We got the Nona here. You can even upgrade the Nonas. We have the Acacia. What can you upgrade with this guy? Get a better reload time on it. We have the Tulpan, and Jack told me, and a friend of mine told me that IRL, these things can only be fired 5 times before the crew like needs to RNR or something because of the shockwave, and it's just really not healthy for anyone to be around this thing when it fires. That is a 240mm mortar. To me, that is not even a mortar anymore. That's a naval gun being fired. You know, yeah, that is sick. There's the Drock 2S41, nice cool looking vehicle. What is that on it? What kind of millimeters are we talking? 82mm. Grad, obviously wouldn't be Russia without grads. And even like details like this, like all these tubes are modeled in. They're separate entities. That's pretty cool. There's how many polys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So yeah, there's like an octagon going on there with the tubes. It looks really nice. You can even see the rockets in there. Yeah, that like those kind of details to me just make the game. I don't care about, you know, gameplay is obviously very important, but with a game like this where you're relatively zoomed in, you need to have nice models. Now the Uragan here can be upgraded. You can go for 220mm to 300mm, and it actually changes the unit model as well, which I really appreciate. The Kama can be upgraded with a faster reload, so it's more modular. I guess you just kind of swap this one out with a new one that has new rockets in it. We have the Smirch. It cannot be modified right now, but I'm guessing this is... Yep, okay, so this is HE. It's not Cluster, but I wonder if things like Cluster will be added to the game. I don't really know, but we could see. I mean, this is high explosive anti-tank, so I guess it's already modeled to be kind of Cluster. I guess it does, yeah. I guess it doesn't really matter too much. But yeah, all the values for these are relatively the same. So the Uragan, the Kama, and the Smirch all have the same values. It's basically the same rocket, it seems. 300mm. Not exactly the same rockets, but you get the idea. It's the same millimeter, whereas the Grad is much less, and the values change for that. So maybe that's one of the things they want to do to kind of put these guys apart. But yeah, they might adjust it more, add more value or suppression or whatever. The Barrack, we already played against these guys in the demo. They are nasty. They can fire at helicopters even. Yeah. I wonder how this kind of works. I'm interested in this piece of weaponry, how it actually targets helicopters, because that is a big old gun. That is insane. Now we have the Kamaz VDV truck, 14 seats in it. Also, airdrop. It can be airdropped. Now I want to see a Kamaz fly. I don't care about anything else in this game. Now in terms of AA, there's plenty of options. We got the OSA AKM. There's the Penseer. That is a beautiful looking unit model as well. Just look at the amount of work they've put in. Even like tire threads and stuff. Just the small things like dirt on the vehicle. It looks worn, like used. It's been driving around. S350 Vitjazz. Looking nice as well. There's no S400s, but maybe they'll add it later when like other divisions are popping up, or an S300 or something like that. We have the Tochka, basically a Buratino, I believe, right? Yeah, that is a weird looking name for that. But yeah, the Toss 2 is going to be nasty in towns or literally anywhere. The Ural ZU 23s, you can even add armor to you can add armor to these guys, giving them a little bit of sheet metal in front of them. But you can even add Iglas to them, which is pretty nice. And last but not least, we have the Shilka. Now the Shilka can be upgraded to include radar. Right now it is not exactly clear what that does. And also, like, some of the unit icons stick around. No radar still has the radar. And then with radar, you know, it's obviously still there. But the optics get decreased when radar is added. So, like, things like that are important to note and write down and put in as, like, minor suggestions or minor bugs or things like that. Pretty cool things. Now, logistics, nothing. I guess Russia, right? Helicopters, plenty of options. We got a Ka-29. I guess they could add another rotor on top and then add another rotor to balance it out. Have it a quad rotor bladed helicopter. Is that even possible? I'm kind of curious now. This thing can get an autocannon. I have never seen a Ka-29 with an autocannon, but that thing looks mean. Inner pylons can get the gun pods. Outer pylons can get 4 Kokon 80 gems. And I just love this. So this thing is a transport heli. It can get 16 men in here. But with these upgrades, you can turn it into like kind of like a assault helicopter. You have an autocannon, gun pods, Kokon 80 gems. You just make this thing into an attack helicopter, basically. But, you know, with bad health and all that stuff. Speaking of health, it's 15, but you also have armor. So I'm really looking forward to some of these other helicopters. So let's go to the Ka-50. Yeah, much more armor. Goes from 8 to 18. The health does stay the same, but, you know, speed and all that kind of stuff change. But this thing looks nasty as well. And you can add rocket pods and Vickers 80 gems to this one. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have 12 of these. That's quite disgusting. It does look nice though. Like, yeah, just the unit models are looking real good. That's pretty cool. There's like, even the cockpit is like relatively, you know, detailed. There's a windshield wiper. Looking pretty good. Look nice. It looks nice. We have the Ka-52. Now this thing looks even nicer. Inner pylons with rockets, S13 rockets if you want, Vicker 80 gems, more rockets, Iklavs and anti-air. So this thing comes in, rockets everything, and that just gets the hell out, and you can even take down some helicopters with this. Mi-24, another helicopter that has laser designation. It's you can see it from this laser icon here. Once again, it doesn't show here, but I'm making notes of all these things to send to the developers and put into the survey to, you know, let them know that there are some issues that, or not really big issues, but, you know, things that shouldn't be forgotten about for when the game is fully released. So this will probably be really low down the priorities list, but in any case, we're adding it. Now, these helicopters obviously can be upgraded, but you can even leave them empty if you want and just add some gun pods to it. And then we got the Mi-24P. What can we do with this guy? We can add rockets, AA missiles. Okay, interesting. And ATGMs. Yeah, this thing is just multi-roll to the brim. That looks cool. We got the VP variant. I'm really wondering what type of things you can add to the... Okay, just Kokon ATGMs. So in terms of Mi-24s, they did add a couple different variants. But I guess they're like separate enough models to warrant their own version. I guess if you just made an Mi-24 and then add all of these different variants to it, might be a little bit too much. Yeah, I really want to know like how they kind of, what their thought process was behind these, like having 3 different types of Mi-24s. I mean, they're different models, but you know, you get the idea. We got Mi-26, an apartment complex sized helicopter for, you know, transporting goods. Mi-28N, the Pinocchio helicopter. Can even be fitted with more rockets. Oh my god. 8 attackers. 16 attackers. That is disgusting. What is the range on these? Almost 3 kilometers. My god. You can add attackers and Iglas. Yeah, that is nasty. But the good thing is, and I really do believe this is a good thing, this helicopter seems overpowered, right? Well, AA is also really powerful, so they're both really powerful things, and I think that is how it should be. So using helicopters is risky. AA is really good, but it's quite expensive. Like, they both have a downside. If you would nerf both helicopters and AA at the same pace, it turns it really arcadey. Helicopters will not hit. You know, you can just spam them. They just chug rockets everywhere. They're not accurate. And then AA is the same thing. You're just seeing missiles pop it out, you know, fly into the air as if dudes are just popping flares. It turns it more arcadey. Having them a bit more accurate, a bit more deadly on an individual level really just makes the game a little bit, you know, I'm not going to say realistic, but it makes it a bit more, whatever the word is, a bit more immersive, I guess. But yeah, that brings me to this helicopter, the Mi-8 MTV transport helicopter, 28 seats, but you can add gun pods and S8 rockets to it, basically make it an assault helicopter, quickly stun the enemy and then land your 28 units. Now it actually has less seats. Did I misread that? 21? Hold up a second. Yeah, so 28. Am I looking at the wrong one? No, okay, so 21 seats for this one, 28 for this one. Okay, I was looking at the wrong one, I think. I don't know. But yeah, this guy can be, you know, fitted out with rockets and stuff and still carry 28 dudes. That's pretty cool, man. Now the air tab, IL-76, the thing that will be able to airdrop a lot of your units with Russia. Beefy looking helicopter. We also saw this in the demo. Super cool to see. Even has missiles. I don't even know where these missiles are, but it has them. Oh, it may be in there. I'm not quite sure. Maybe it's an error here as well. MiG-31 BM, you know, for really long range engagements. The cool thing is with planes, if you carry more on the plane, it is going to increase your drag, and drag will increase your fuel consumption, and that is something that the developers will aim to implement into the game as well, so that you can just, you know, pimp your plane out and not have any downside to it. So carrying some fuel with you will actually be good in some cases, especially if it's a long range, you know, interceptor and you just want this guy to be flying around the entire time to kind of, you know, just scare off the enemy. We got an Su-24 as well. Can add a lot of things to this. A lot of bombs as well. A lot of dumb bombs. Fab 250s. 12 OFABs. Okay. They look kind of cool. I mean, they kind of look like the... they kind of look like a dumbed down version of the Tallboy bombs, to be honest with you. Inner pylons. Let's see if we can add some fuel tank. Yep, there it is. So if you go for bombs like these, like a lot of bombs, it's going to increase the weight, right? But if you want to increase your fuel from 180, you can do so by adding some fuel tanks. Now it's 300. This plane will be able to fly around a bit more, hang around a bit more, and you know, if you make it an interceptor like that, you can do so. But in this case, it seems to be more of a bomber, so I wouldn't really do it for this guy. But yeah, for example, you can get some of these air-to-air missiles and add a bunch of rockets or fuel tanks. It already has a giant cage 31 missile here at the bottom. That is sick. That is a chunky boy right there. What else do we got here? Su-25, my beloved, beautiful looking plane. Quite armored as well, so 30 compared to, you know, these guys being 18. Yeah. So Su-25 is basically the Russian equivalent of the A-10. A lot of people said like, oh, why are they taking so many hits? Well, it's an armored plane. It is basically a flying tank. Now on the wingtips, we can add even ECM pods, which is going to help with, you know, stunning radar AA. You can add R-76s, R-60s, rocket pods, and you can even add more. Make it a complete, like, you can turn this guy into a complete, like, air-to-ground plane if you want to. Let's actually try to do that. So we'll add ECM pods. We'll add a ton of rockets. Sure, yeah, we'll have these 40s. Middle pylons, we'll add, let's see here. Nope, don't want those, don't want those. Don't want dumb bombs. KH-25s, there we go. Let's take down some, what is that? Is that air-to-air? It's basically anything, I believe. Ground infantry vehicle. Lead pursuit missiles, so basically an ATGM. And it can be laser guided. Look at that. And then inner pylons will add Couple bombs, I guess, or fuel tanks. Oh, we'll add these big boys. My god, what is that, dude? What is that? The KH-58? 1000mm heat penetration? Jeez. That thing looks disgusting. That is a big old missile right there. But yeah, having all of these things on your wingtips is going to increase your drag tremendously. So there's also like some possibilities that this might affect your agility and obviously your fuel consumption and all that kind of stuff. Now, SU-30 looks really nice as well. The unit models here look beautiful. Kind of just reminds me of the SU-26 or 26, 27. You can add ECM pods plus long range air-to-air. Middle pylons, we can add KH-31s. Inner pylons, we can add some bombs if we want to, and fuselage. We can leave it empty as well. Like, you don't need to actually fill it up with anything, but if you want to, you can do so. Making this a long range interceptor, but again, the fuel is going to be quite a painful thing to keep in mind. Now, SU-34, I do like that color. That looks nice. SU-34 is also in the game. You can do whatever you want, really, which I really love about this game so far. Can we add fuel to this thing? Doesn't look like fuel is possible. What do we got here? SU-35S. We already went through that basically. We got the SU-57. It kind of reminds me of a bullfrog. I don't know why. You guys get that as well? I don't know. Maybe I'm watching too many bullfrog videos. But yeah, this guy can be upgraded with whatever you want as well. Cruise missiles are also in the game, by the way. So in a lot of ways, you have planes with cruise missiles that you can add. There's low drag bombs. But one thing that I want to talk about is these planes. The Tu-160. It has cruise missiles. That's right. 12 of these KH-101 cruise missiles. 60 kilometers range. I don't know if those are going to be adjusted to the scale of the game, but perhaps not. You can get other types of cruise missiles if you want to. You can get like regular bombs if you want to as well. And you can upgrade the different types of bombs. Now we have the Tu-22M3. There's quite a lot of things you can add to this guy, like air-to-air. But you can also give it a couple bombs. Just a couple bombs. Last but not least, the Tu-95. And this will be the Russian plane that can carry a nuke, I believe. Right now it is not modeled in, you can't actually modify this plane. But yeah, this thing will be probably the the tactical nuke carrier that you drop by airplane, or maybe they'll still add a different plane and this will be just a tactical bomber or something like that. We don't really know. But yeah, this thing looks nasty. It's probably going to be a ton of fun. And with that said, we're at the end of the Russian arsenal. Ton of fun, really cool looking units. The unit models look nice and dandy. They look nice and sharp. We got some really nice different types of units. Like some of them are old, some of them are new, some of them are relatively really new. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. This game is going to be a ton of fun, but I want to emphasize once again to go to the survey and fill in whatever findings you have. Like if there's major bugs, crashes, or game-breaking features that you think shouldn't be in the game, or game-breaking or game-making features you think should be in the game. Go ahead there and fill it in, because together we can make this game one of the best RTS games ever. But we gotta work at it. We can't just ignore issues and not report them. With that said, I hope to see you guys back soon. Take care.